PK Subban is one of the most electrifying defensemen in the NHL, and soon he might also become one of the richest. To talk about the contract negotiations between PK and the Canadiens, we bring in Stephen Brunt in our Sportsnet studios in Toronto. Now, Stephen, what will it take for the Canadiens to re-sign PK?
Well, it's going to take something close to what's the maximum that they're allowed to spend in the National Hockey League right now. There are two different scenarios. One is it could be a shorter-term deal, which would lead PK Subban to unrestricted free agency, or it could be a longer-term deal. I think the latter is the more likely. So let's say 8 years and somewhere between $8 and $10 million a year with the salary cap going up. So wow. an awful lot of money.
Will any massive deal afford Subban alienate other team members at all? Will this? Do you think it'll affect the team?
I don't think so. I think every player in the league understands the economics, and they understand that a lot of it is the timing is a big thing. That's when your number comes up, when you have the chance to negotiate a deal. If you're riding high and you're at a certain place in your career, you're going to be able to exploit that, and that's true for every player to a greater and lesser degree, depending on how good they are. And I think everyone understands that PK Subban is at a point in his career where he is entering his prime, where he's come off a great playoff, where he won the Norris last year, where he has enormous value to the team. And if he was an unrestricted free agent, we would see an unbelievable bidding war, I think, in the NHL for his services. But even as it is, as a restricted free agent, he's going to get pretty close to whatever the top of the market is right now.
You mentioned 8 years, a long-term deal, lots of money. Do you think there's a lot of other teams that are unlocking the vault for PK?
Well, there probably are some looking, but the only way that they can get in is if Montreal doesn't sign him or Montreal is unwilling to match an offer. And that whole issue of offer sheets for restricted free agents in the NHL, there's almost, there has, with a few exceptions, there's been this kind of gentleman's agreement that you don't bid other teams up with on a restricted free agent, because all you do is raise the price for the guy who's going to have to pay him in any case. But there might be somebody out there, if they sense that there is any kind of breakdown in the conversation between Subban and the Canadiens, or there's any kind of a window here, somebody might jump in there and say, hey, we'll pay this. We can't go to 8 years, but we can go to 7, and we'll pay him this kind of money and force the Canadiens to match or walk away. I can't imagine any scenario, though, Wilder, where the Canadiens walk away.
Let's say they do, though, for a second. Do you think there'll be a big backlash from Montreal Canadiens fans if they don't get the deal done?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Of course there would be. Look at the team right now, coming off a great playoff run. There's a lot of hope for the future, and that hope is based on two guys, Carey Price and PK Subban. That's the foundation. That's where this team is. The team is going to be built on those two guys, and especially because Subban is a stylish player, a flamboyant player. He's the kind of player the hockey fans in Montreal have always loved. If you let him go, what's Plan B? I can't imagine what Plan B would be for the franchise, and there'd be a lot of splaining to do with the Montreal fan base if you made that decision.
Yeah, and I do not want that job. Thank you so much, Stephen, for this, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Wilder.